Last time out, Buddy Simpson, son of IndyCar legend Bobby Simpson Jr., took part in his second Formula 1 Grand Prix. It didn't go to plan. It's lights out and away we go, and Buddy Simpson gets a very good launch to the line, and he's already got the jump on Bottas on the run up to the first corner, breaking down into the first corner now. But Sebastian Vettel completely cuts across on him. He's going to dive up the inside, going into turn 9. What a fantastic move there from Buddy Simpson. But because he's at the end of the pit lane, he has to wait for not just Hulkenberg, but for Alonso as well. And he loses out to both, which is really not what he needs. So now heading into the penultimate corner, but he completely missed his braking point, and he hits Alonso. And that really is not what he needs, and the front wing is damaged, so he's unfortunately going to have to pit. And Buddy Simpson is going to finish the race in last place. A very disappointing race for his second Formula 1 outing. Buddy, however, has to keep his F1 career a secret from his dad, of all people, who wants him to go down the IndyCar route and hates Formula 1.
Send a message to the Haas F1 team to say that you retract the contract, and I want you to send it now. Write the letter and give it to me.
No, F1 is my dream.
Now.
You can't do that.
Now.
Okay, I will. Pull that off. I'm racing in Formula 1, and you're just gonna have to deal with it, Dad. Let's write a letter to say to the team, my dad forced me to do that and to keep the contract. Need to keep it a secret from my dad though. But he doesn't follow F1 at all, so he will never know that I'm in F1. However, before the Chinese Grand Prix, it became clear things were about to get a little bit complicated.
Hey buddy, I've got some good news.
What, Dad?
I have just booked you for a test at Andretti Autosport at Iowa. You'll be driving one of their Indy cars this Saturday.
Yay!
I am so happy for you. Here's the contract.
Crappy IndyCar. Despite the fact this test clashed with the qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix, Buddy was still going to attend. He was not going to let his dad stop him from pursuing his dream. It was time for him to head to the Chinese Grand Prix. What is up? It is Matty Gaming HD here with the third episode of the Buddy Simpson career mode. We are here at China. Just gonna say this now. I've decided that for the coming episodes, I'm not gonna include a massive summary of what happened in practice. I'm gonna keep it brief. I mean, really, it just wastes 5 minutes of the video just talking about the same challenges every time, so there's not really any point. So, it's going to be a brief summary, so without further ado, practice was uneventful despite a wet Saturday. So, without further ado, let's go in to the qualifying report. A morning rain shower led to cool conditions as qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix got underway on Saturday afternoon. It was a disappointing session for Sauber as Ericsson qualified 18th whilst Nasser lined up at the back. The two manners of Pascal Wehrlein and Rio Haryanto lined up in 20th and 21st respectively. Jolly and Palmer struggled and only managed 19th. It was a devastating qualifying for Nico Hulkenberg as he went out in Q1. Kvyat continued to outpace his teammate Carlos Sainz Jr. Haas made Q3 again, this time it was Romain Grosjean who made it, whilst Buddy Simpson qualified in 14th. It was a good qualifying for McLaren, as both cars were within the top 14. Felipe Massa failed to make Q3. Daniel Ricciardo was pleased to qualify in 3rd, whilst Verstappen qualified 6th. Mercedes were disappointed with Rosberg 2nd and Hamilton 5th, whilst it was championship leader Sebastian Vettel who qualified on pole position. So, taking a look at the grid, it is Vettel on pole ahead of Rosberg, Ricciardo and Raikkonen. Reigning champion Lewis Hamilton struggled for the 2nd time this season ahead of Max Verstappen. Valtteri Bottas, Romain Grosjean made Q3 for the 1st time this season ahead of Perez and Button. Kvyat qualified 11th ahead of Massa, who was disappointed. Alonso was 13th ahead of Buddy Simpson, Carlos Sainz and Kevin Magnussen. Nico Hülkenberg was devastated for 17th ahead of Ericsson, Palmer, Verline, Haryanto, with Felipe Nasr rounding out the grid. So, here we are on the grid. The reason why we don't have the usual scenes is for some reason they didn't come up when I was recording this. But the formation lap is about to get underway here at Shanghai. As you can see, he is starting on the medium tyre, which is an interesting strategy because that means he's going to go longer into the race. But that could get even more interesting if there's rain, because there is actually rain expected. So here, as you can see, the formation lap is getting underway. He is starting in 14th, which is not bad, but not great. But as you can see, it is looking very overcast, and obviously he was kept updated on the situation via the team radio.
Okay buddy, we need to go, as long as we can. Rain is expected in around 20 minutes.
So, they're lining up on the grid now for round 3 of the 2016 Formula 1 World Championship. They're lining up on the grid. So, as the rest of the field line up in their grid positions, we have the lights in Shanghai. But he doesn't get away immediately, and he's been hit behind. That was not the plan. So looking at the replay, it was the Renault of Kevin Magnussen who hit us. Heading into turn 1, we go, and for some reason, it is us that gets the warning. And we have lost a lot of positions. Here, as you can see, we are behind Jolyon Palmer in the Renault, side by side with Rio Haryanto on the exit of turn 3. Heading up to the hairpin, we're going to try it up the inside of the Renault of Jolyon Palmer, and we have managed to make it stick, or have we? Because Palmer has managed to get the drive heading up towards the fast left-hander, and he stays ahead in the Renault. But Buddy is going to try to get round the outside, but is unable to do it. But Buddy was unsurprisingly worried about what happened at the start. What happened? I released the clutch and nothing happened!
We are not sure, buddy. Just keep going. You have no damage.
So a few words of encouragement from his team as he heads down the back straight. But he did release the clutch and then absolutely nothing happened. It just didn't go. But now he is right behind the Renault of Jolyon Palmer. He's going to go down the inside into turn 2. But he actually tapped the back of Fernando Alonso there. Bit of history from last time out. Obviously they had their collision. And Palmer is able to stay ahead for the moment. But Simpson's going to dive it up the inside into turn 5. And he is through into 16. As you can see, he is now behind a whole train of cars. The likes of Alonso, Hülkenberg, and many other cars. So, quite a few cars for Buddy to clear after his start dramas. But the trouble that Buddy has had is the likes of Alonso have DRS from the car ahead, which means he's not going to be able to get the slipstream. as you can see, moving on to lap 6 now, he is right behind the McLaren of Alonso, and he's going to dive it up the inside, heading into the hairpin. This is a brave lunge, and on the exit there's a little bit of contact, but he is through, which was a crucial move. And as you can see, we do have pit stops getting underway. But here comes Buddy Simpson on the inside of Nico Hülkenberg, and he has made that move stick into turn 1. But he's on the grass, and he almost lets him back through. But into turn 3, he has the inside, and that's going to allow Alonso through on Hülkenberg. So now, as you can see, all the super soft tyre runners are pitting in, and we could really benefit from this if it rains, because we are now up into 6th, and if it rains when they said it would, then we wouldn't have to pit until it rained. So we could gain a lot of positions out of this. Here, as you can see, he's behind Jenson Button, and he gets down the inside into turn 2. But Button is still there going into turn 3, and there's contact between the two McLarens, which results in a virtual safety car, which is going to help with tyre preservation. As you can see, he is trying to keep below the delta. The virtual safety car would remain out for a while until, as we broke down into the hairpin, it got released. Of course, we ran a little bit wide there, but the virtual safety car I don't think really had any effect on our race, considering the fact that we were on the medium tyres. As you can see, we've got another car into the pits ahead, and that is going to elevate us up into P4. And sure enough, around a lap later, the rain did start to fall. And it was the end of lap 12 that we made the call to pit for the intermediate tyres. And it was an interesting call, because it was quite early, but it would be interesting to see how it was going to pay off. So, we head into the pits for our first pit stop of the race. Onto the green marked intermediate tyres, and we rejoin in 6th. And as you can see, when we were in the pits, the rain really intensified. And now here, as you can see, we are behind Valtteri Bottas, who stayed out, which was a little bit silly. And it seems that pitting at that time was the exact perfect call. And you can see Valtteri is really struggling. We just get the drive, and we are able to just get the drive and get ahead of Bottas for 6th place. We run a little bit wide, which is going to allow him on the inside, but once again we get the drive. So now behind the Sauber of Felipe Nasser, which we are easily able to get down the inside. Of course, they're all struggling still on these slick tyres, and it turns out we came in on the perfect lap. And whilst others are struggling, we are up into P4. We don't quite manage to get ahead of the Toro Rosso of Kvyat, though. We would catch up to the Toro Rosso, and we get the slipstream, and we are going to go down the inside into turn 1, and we are up into a podium position. Now Daniel Ricciardo is behind Danny Kvyat on the run up towards the first corner, and he is able to get through going into turn 1, and sure enough, it wouldn't take long for him to catch up to us. As you can see, we're getting an awful exit off the long corner, and he is in the slipstream. He's going to breeze past, and not just Ricciardo, but possibly Hamilton as well. We almost touch in a straight. We're going to be 3 abreast on the run up towards the hairpin. Under braking. But there's contact. And both us and Hamilton go off the track, which is really not what we need. As you can see, we're rejoining the track. We just understeered on the wetter track. And we are down into 6th place. It's really not what we need. As you can see, now we've got Max Verstappen behind us on the run up into turn 1. And we've run very wide, and the Red Bull get through. We're going to try to dive it up the inside, but it's not going to work. As you can see, Hamilton is now right behind us. And we are really struggling on the exit of that corner, and Hamilton's able to get through. The track then started to dry, and Buddy had some questions for the team. Guys, surely it's time for slicks. It's getting pretty dry now.
Yup, it is. Box this lap. Box this lap.
So, Buddy is going to come into the pits for a set of dry time. As you can see, many cars ahead are doing the same thing. So, after that rain shower, a lot of action. It is time for Buddy to pit. As you can see, DRS has been enabled, which obviously shows it's getting dry. So, he hits his box. And he puts on an interestingly a set of soft tyres. Everyone else has gone for the medium, which means that Buddy's going to have to stop again, whilst the rest may not. Meanwhile, whilst Buddy was racing, Bobby Simpson Jr., his father, was getting impatient for Buddy's arrival in Iowa.
Where the hell is Buddy? Buddy, get to Iowa now! There's no way. No, he didn't.
Anyway, back to the race, and Buddy, unknown to all that was going on in Iowa, here comes Lewis Hamilton, who ended up behind Buddy for some reason in the pit stop, but he is able to draft past the Haas driver. It's going to be interesting to see how this is going to pay off for Buddy though, because he's got one more pit stop to make, whilst everyone else is going to be able to make the end, but he is going to have a lot more pace because he's going to be able to go to the super soft tyre. Now we've got Kimi Räikkönen behind us. As you can see, we've got Felipe Nasr to lap, which could help. But Kimi Räikkönen just threads between the pair of us and is able to take the position. Now looking at the Force India of Nico Hülkenberg, his engine has died, so he is out. And we have a virtual safety car, our second virtual safety car of the race. So, not sure what that's going to do for our race, but the virtual safety car has been deployed for the second time. But here's the virtual safety car ending, and we actually got the end of the virtual safety car at quite a good time. And we are still ahead of Alonso, but he is closing on us. And sure enough, it wouldn't be long before he was able to just drive past, heading up towards the hairpin. So now moving on to lap 46, where we pit for the final time, and this is for a set of the super soft tyres. So, into the pits comes Buddy Simpson. Obviously, as you can see, he's dropped out of the point, but he's going to have a lot of pace on these tyres, so he can easily still get points in this race, in what has been a fairly interesting race. So he exits in P14. Now here we're looking at Lewis Hamilton, but his engine's gone, and that means he is going to have to park. That's going to hand us a position. Now heading into turn 1, as you can see, look at the pace that we have in comparison to Button, and we are going to be able to just dive it up the inside going into turn 1. Now here, as you can see, we are right behind Sergio Perez in the Force India. There's a yellow flag, which unfortunately is going to eliminate that as a possible chance to overtake. But there is still later in the lap, but he is going to want to be making the move soon because he's being held up. Here, as you can see, he's going to drive it round the outside, and that is a fantastic move from Buddy Simpson, to the delight of his team.
Awesome, truly awesome.
So now he is bearing down on Valtteri Bottas, but it is looking like he is going to run out of laps to take his first points in Formula 1, unfortunately, despite a fantastic effort. But here, the two Williams are battling, heading up towards the hairpin. And Bottas gets the drive, but there's contact! And Bottas goes into the wall! He rejoins ahead, but he has to pit. And not only that, we have a safety car. Wow! It really is our lucky day, isn't it? But unfortunately, the safety car didn't wait for everyone to catch up, which meant that it came in whilst we were quite a way behind. But Fernando Alonso's retired, which is going to give us a position. It's going to promote us up into 9th. And unbelievable, Carlos Sainz Jr. as well. So crazy stuff in this restart. And look, who's that? That's Daniel Ricciardo has stopped as well. That is going to promote us up into 7th place. Wow, it is getting exciting. So, 3 DNFs immediately when the safety car is brought in. And we could get another position yet. Here we are, right behind Felipe Massa, as Nico Rosberg crosses the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix. Back on board with Buddy Simpson. Is he going to be able to get past Felipe Massa to take 6th place? It's starting to look pretty unlikely. But still, 7th place, a fantastic result for Buddy Simpson to take his maiden points in Formula 1. Round the final corner, onto the pit straight. A fantastic drive from Buddy Simpson. He takes 7th place, and he was delighted.
Top job, my friend.
Fantastic job, guys. Great result. Proves that Simpson does belong in Formula 1. Yes!
Congrats, Buddy. Great drive. First points in Formula 1.
So you can see the Mercedes team celebrating. Nico Rosberg celebrates winning the Chinese Grand Prix. But you do have to say, a fantastic drive from Buddy Simpson, despite everything that happened, to take 7th place. A milestone result to take his first ever points in Formula 1. And has his first points in Formula 1 as well. So as you can see, Rosberg celebrates winning the Chinese Grand Prix. Max Verstappen 2nd, Kimi Raikkonen 3rd. So the final result will come up in a second on the screen.
And now
there it is, and as you can see, it is Nico Rosberg who wins the race ahead of Max Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen, Danny Kvyat finishing in 4th place, and Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen, Buddy Simpson, with Perez, Button and Bottas rounding out the points. Quite a high rate of attrition, only 16 cars finished the race. So So, taking a look at the driver's standings, and you can see it's Nico Rosberg who leads the standings. And we are currently in 11th after taking that 7th place finish from this race. So, it's good that we have managed to get off the mark. And only 14 drivers have actually scored points so far this season. Obviously, Roman has yet to score. Now looking at the constructors' standings, as you can see, we are ahead of McLaren in 7th in the standings. But whilst Buddy was racing, he was missing a test his dad wanted him to attend. And his dad wasn't happy about it. Here's a brief snippet of what happened when he got back.
Where were you this weekend?
That should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Well, that is it from the Shanghai episode of the Buddy Simpson career mode. And we will see you next time for round 4.